Hello everyone and welcome to day 2, the final day of the last chance qualifier session for round 4 of the South African simGT series for the race on Monday evening, round 4 at Road America. And we're going to take a short break and then we'll dive straight into the last qualifying session. Welcome back to Road America, and we are watching Wesley Ferrant doing the first man out on track on an out lap, and this 90-minute session has just started. And of course, we have to take into account what happened last evening, which saw Cabra fastest of all, and the top 5 runners from that session will be looking to defend what they achieved last night. And of course, the drivers joining for the first time this evening, they'll be looking to beat those 5. So just 5 grid slots up available. Of course, the first 15 drivers already qualified through the South African Sim M2 series and the previous South African simGT Challenge race to make up the 15, 12 from the M2 series and 3 from the GT Challenge. And now it's 5 to come from the last chance qualifier, and this is the final session to do so. And if the drivers do not qualify for the top split in the South African simGT series, they can race in the South African simGT Challenge split, the second split, this Wednesday evening. So there's racing for everybody, but of course everybody wants to get on into that top split, the top 20 drivers for this round 4. Watching Gregor, he's the man from Mauritius, if I remember correctly, and not taking part in the session last evening, but certainly taking part this evening. Let's see what he can do. We've got Ryan Heel and Dion Jonker in the LCQ2 server. We won't be able to watch them go around the circuit, but we'll have the lap times up on this stream, of course. Brandon Landy as well has joined that server. So 3 drivers on the LCQ2 server vying for one of those 5 grid slots up for grabs this evening. Landy in the McLaren 650S GT3, Ryan Hill in the BMW Z4 GT3, and Dion Jonker in the Ferrari 488 GT3. And we'll see those times filter in that odd box on the left hand side. And I just need to make that box a bit bigger so we can see. What's going on? Let's just do that. Pull it down a bit. We should see times coming through on that box on the left hand side. I know it's distracting for the moment. But Stephen Sparks has put in his lap time for the evening for Sparks Racing, the 2:07.919. We saw 2:03.5, I think it was, from Gabriel Rousseau. So Stephen quite a way up the pace at the moment. Let's see how far he can bring that lap time down throughout this 90-minute session. Shout out to Bongi Mabida in the YouTube live chat. Good evening, sir. Get on the server. You still need to qualify, Bongi. It's not over yet. You put in a good lap time last night, but the guys could pick up the pace this evening. Switch that distracting box off for the moment until the lap times start filtering through from the LCQ2 server. And I'm just going to have a look at the results from last evening's running. So last evening we had Gabriel Rousseau fastest of all with a 2:03.515. Wayne Wortley second with a 2:04.583. Bongi Mabida with a 2:04.613. Wesley Ferrant with a 2:05.781 and Matthew Boy with a 2:06.681. So at the moment the cutoff point is a 2:06.681 that the drivers will be aiming for, and expect that time to come down as well. That's a top 5 lap time at the moment. Stephen Sparks already has improved by a second. He did a 2:08.938 this evening. He's already done a 2:07.919. So improvement there for Stephen Sparks. But he needs to find that 2:06.681 for now. We have times coming through from the LCQ2 server. Brandon Landy has done a 2:12.424. So at the moment it's Sparks from McGear from Landy. Jonker now is in a 2:07.981. So at the moment is Dion Yonka fastest of all in this session anyway, the 207. No, it's not. Gregor has just put in lap time with a 207.828. Sparks with a 207.919. And Mark McGeer now putting lap time with a 210.153. Yonka with a 207.981. And Brandon Landy with a 212.424. And now Gregor's even going quicker now. He was a good 3/10 up on his best half the time. He's dropped down to about 2/10 quicker, but he will improve. It's looking for a 207.5, I think he can go for. It's 3/10 up. Unfortunately losing out through that section. So we're going to do under braking now. Last time, but now he's improving again. Different line through that corner that time round. And Adrian Govender with a 206.047. That puts him in 5th position in the LCQ overall. So great time there by Adrian Govender. So 206.047. Shout out to everybody in YouTube live chat. Keegan Klein, of course, Bongi Mabida. I said hello to him already. Carl Swanepoel and Henk Boree. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, at the moment, Adrian Govender is the cutoff time with a 206.047. So he has bettered Matthew Boy's time with a 206.681. So Matthew Boy's knocked off that 5th position spot for the moment, down to 6th position. And Yeah, so 206 flat is the time that everybody needs to beat for the moment. Expect that time to come right down as we progress throughout the session. And if you look at the timing tower, you can see two boxes basically, and the first one is from this session that you're watching on the screen now, and then we have a second server running, and those 3 times you see the Yonker, Heel and Landy are from the LCQ2 server. And so all those times need to be combined to be considered complete, to complete the session. And then we also take the times from last evening, combine them all to come up with the top 5 fastest or the drivers with the fastest lap time to go through to the grid for Monday evening's race in the top split. And I'm going to try and keep track of everything as we go. So let me get a pen and paper out, piece of paper out, and let's not write on that, that's an important document. Get my trusty notebook out. Wayne Wortley is rocked up to do a 2:05.152. That is a second of his best lap time last evening. He did a 2:04.583, second quickest overall over all the sessions. So Wayne Wortley just gearing up to get that quick lap time in. Yes, Vanna, just if you need Vanna Grift on the YouTube live chat, just asking if the Audi is a GT3 car. Yes, it is in fact a GT3 spec car. All the cars that raced in the South African simGT series are GT3 spec cars, FIA. Audi just simply did not decide to call it a GT3. They've called it an LMS, I think. LMS. I'm not sure if this one's called the LMS Ultra as well. I know the older one was LMS Ultra, I think. This one could just be LMS, I'm not quite sure. Okay, so for the moment, your top 5, considering all the sessions combined from last evening and these 2 sessions up until now, is Rousseau fastest of all. Then we have Wayne Wortley, Matthew Boy, Wesley Ferrant, and then now Adrian Govender with his 206.047 that he's just done this evening, and that puts him 5th fastest. And Matthew Boy knocked off that top 5 spot. He's down to 6th with his 206.681. So Wayne Wortley now does a 204.907, still 0.4 off his best time so far in LCQ. Yeah, I do agree. The naming of the cars does get very confusing at times. Same thing with the Porsche GT3. You know, the GT3 is the model of the car, yet it's also a GT3 specified car. And I often get questions as to, oh, why are you not including the 2017 version? I'm like, well, the 2017 version in Assetto Corsa is in fact a GTE version of the car, not the GT3 version, which is the 2016 version in Assetto Corsa. So. And that gets very confusing and needs to be explained sometimes. So yeah, the naming of the cars does get confusing at times. Absolutely. Vanna, the older Audi R8 GT3 car was in fact called the LMS Ultra as well. So you're not wrong. Matthew Boy has now gone 3rd quickest in this LCQ2 session with a 207.117. Dion Jonker is putting on some pace in LCQ2. He's done a 207.981. He's not anywhere near top 5 overall lap time at the moment, but he's improving all the time. He's come right down from, I think, a 209 last night, so some good preparation paying off there for Dion Jonker. And he's vying for where you'll be debuting in the South African Sim GT series or challenge on either Monday or Wednesday evening. We look forward to seeing him racing for the first time on debut. Oh, there's a spin for Steven Sparks, just getting a bit of a tank slap at the end of that. And around he goes. And he retires to the pit lane. So we're watching Adrian Govender now. He's on the bubble. He's got that top 5 fastest lap time at the moment. So, oh, gets it all wrong there. He's going to catch it. Oh, he's going to keep it off the wall. No, he's not, just as I say that. And there we go. Let's see if we've got a 4th driver in LCQ2. Do we? No, we don't. It's just the 3 drivers, Jonker, Hill, and Landy. So now it's a contest there between Hill and Landy. 210.024 for Hill and 210.9054 Landy. So at the moment, this session we've got a Nissan GTR from an Audi R8, from a Ferrari 488, and Wesley Ferrand now with a 2:04.986, and that is the 4th quickest time overall. And that, as unfortunately for, no, I beg your pardon. No, he was he was 4th quickest overall. So with that 2:04.986, that keeps him in 4th, but it does better his time. So Front finding some good pace here. So Governor still has got that top 5 lap time for the moment. And Matthew Boy will be looking to fight back now. Matthew Boy is in a 2:06.211. That's 4 tenths quicker than his lap time last evening. So if you're watching this and you're not quite sure what's going on at the moment, we're not in fact doing a race this evening. This is actually a qualifying session. And the drivers are vying for a top 5 lap time this evening, combined with last evening's running, to complete the grid for the big race on Monday evening, round 4 of the South African simGT Series, our flagship championship. The top split is happening on Monday evening, and then the drivers who do not qualify will be racing in the South African simGT Challenge race on Wednesday evening. Got Adrian Governor doing a bit of farming in the background, does well to keep out the way of Wayne Wortley. So Wayne Wortley joining Gabriel Rousseau's team, Mixed Racing White, the big news there. So Wayne Wortley replacing Amrish Sinran for the remainder of the championship in that team. And look forward to seeing Wayne and Gabriel working together in Mixed Racing White. And they've still got a shot at actually winning the team championship too, but I think Ghostworks might wrap that up already on Monday evening with a round to spare. But Gab Rousseau has certainly got a good chance of wrapping up the Drivers' Championship on Monday evening, defending his 2017.1 South African simGT Series Drivers title. And looks like we will see, but it looks like he will be able to defend that title successfully. And, but anything can happen in sim racing, of course. But Sham, I don't want to put a commentator's curse on Rousseau. We want some fantastic racing on Monday evening. I think we're going to get that. So you're very welcome to watch that race. It's happening this Monday evening from 8:30 p.m. Does qualifying start? A 15-minute session. And then the race is an hour and a half long, with each driver having to do one mandatory pit stop. It does bring an element of strategy into it. And you're welcome to join me, Jason Holden-Jones, and whoever will be joining me in the commentary booth. I'm not sure who it will be just yet, but hopefully I'll have someone to talk to. It's great to have Kyle Swanepoel in the booth last night. And let's see if he makes an appearance this evening as well. Kyle, if you're listening, let me know if you want to join me. You're welcome to, and anybody else really. So the time to beat, the cutoff time at the moment is the 2:06.047, done by Adrian Govender. And everybody's trying to beat that lap time, whoever's not in the top 5 yet. Got an hour remaining in the session, still plenty of time for things to change. Governor now up at 10th on his best. Delta always lost it through that section. I think it was under braking. Just missed his braking marker. And Dion Yonke now is down to a 207.180 in LCQ2 in that Ferrari. In the NBE Racing Ferrari. Yeah, great stuff. Carl's going to join us in about 15 minutes. Yeah, so Van, how we did the balanced performance is I came across a study that was done on the RSR lap times. RSR is sort of a system that can record lap times from people doing lap times, and they took the top 5% of the top lap times of each car, and like hundreds of laps sort of data compiled from each, many different drivers, thousands of drivers. And we sort of came up with a delta time that's separating the cars, and then we used a rule of thumb of saying 100% restrictor is worth about 2 seconds of lap time, sort of a rule of thumb. And basically I balanced the cars in relation to those lap times and what the rule of thumb restrictor rule is, and that came from the developers themselves, from Kunos. And that's how we try to balance the cars for the season. Of course, it's very difficult to get balanced performance absolutely perfect, but I think we've got a good base to go from, and it may have some refining done to it before the next season starts. Yeah, you could argue that the fastest drivers have selected the 650S. You could argue that, I suppose. But seeing so many laps, so many different laps done by different drivers, it gives a good average pace of that car. And I liked how the study was done, and I was confident to sort of bring that into the season and then balance the cars on that rule of thumb with the restrictor. Like I said, the balance performance is probably not perfect at the moment, but it's pretty good at the moment. If you look at sort of the M2 series, where all the, it's a one-make series, all the cars are the same, and generally the same order of drivers that feature in the results is a very similar order to what you get in the GT3 in the South African simGT series. So I think the BOP is about there. A few tweaks in there perhaps for next season, but I think it's a better system than what we had last season, where I was basically using a success ballast system and basically penalizing the guys who are the fastest. And I soon realized that it wasn't going down too well, because I was basically penalizing the guys who were putting the most work in, and it was pretty much demoralizing for them. Yes, we had great racing, that was close racing, but so the driver performance was not being presented in the way it should have been, and the guys who should have been rewarded weren't necessarily. So I think this is a better way. We sort of try and get the cars balanced before the season, give them to everybody to try out, and then they can decide on which car they want to take, which is also an important part of this championship. You need to put your testing in. You need to decide between yourself and the rest of the team what is the best car to go for. It is part of that. That's also how it is in the real world as well. So and yes, but I would love to have all the cars similar lap time, of course, but it's easier said than done. But I think it's pretty good at the moment. So yeah. So as regard this 206.047 is still the time to beat, top 5 overall. So Yeah, making the faster guy slow was not good for motivation, certainly. It was something that was sort of shared with me, and once I heard, sort of what was happening, I realized that it wasn't the way forward for the new this season anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, and you also have different types of cars with drivers with different driving styles. You will have one driver that will get into, say, the Audi, not do very well at all. And then that same driver that will get into, I don't know, a Lamborghini or be fast in it for whatever reason. Everybody has a different driving style, a different way they turn into the corner, a different way they exit the corner, the way they come off the brakes and back onto the brakes and onto the accelerator. We're all different, and that's part of it too. And yeah, I mean, running a one-make series is also all fine and well and everything, but that car might not suit that certain driver, but it suits another driver. Then what do you do? So yeah, the GT series sort of offers different cars for different drivers, and it's also part of the driver and the team as well to decide which car is right for them and then go for it. Yeah. So, okay, Bongi Mabita's coming to the 7. It's done a 2:05.183. That is, yeah, 5/10 slower than his quickest lap time at the moment. Mabita is his third fastest overall across all the sessions for the moment. And also something to consider is that Kunos, the developers of Assetto Corsa, they've based their models on how the cars came out of the factory. So how this Audi R8 GT3 came out of the factory is how they based their model on. Basically, they didn't take into account any balance of performance whatsoever, as far as I understand. So what happens when in the Blancpain GT series? The organizer of the Blancpain GT, they will balance the performance of the cars. It doesn't come from the factory like that. So in this instance, it's my job as the organizer of SimRace South Africa to try and balance the cars as close as possible. So yeah, but it's easier said than done. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. So Matthew Boy is getting close to that 2:06.047 by Governor. He just needs to find another 10th and a half to be on terms with Governor and hopefully take that top 5 overall LCQ lap time away from Governor. Let's see what happens. And we've got Stephen Sparks with a 2:07.215 is quite a way back. Dion Yonka the 2:07.180 in LCQ2. So look at Bongi Mabita in the Netcare 911 Porsche. 2 tenths up on his best Delta time for this evening. So oh, he's run a bit wide. Unfortunately, I think he would have lost a bit. Oh, he's actually got some time with it. Got 4 tenths up on his delta, and that will give him. Yeah, that should about match his lap time from last night. Let's see what happens. It's going for it. No, he won't be quicker than last evening's lap time. See Wayne Wortley in the Nissan now rejoining the circuit. Another outlap. We're going to watch Matthew Boy now. He's looking for the 10th and a half to beat Edrin Govender. It's out on board the Ferrari. This is the V8 Turbo version. I think it's a V8 Turbo. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know the 458 was a V8. I think this is a V8 Turbo 2. Or not, or V8 Turbo, not a V8 normally aspirated car. This is an outlap, is about to start a flying lap. Through the final corner we go, onto the back straight. A bit of twitch there for Matthew. It does well to correct it. And, let's see if he can get on top of Edrin Governor's lap time. That is where the bubble is, and Matthew Boy is just outside. Let's see what he can do. Okay, slightly quicker down the straight this time around, and a braking we go. Nice turning, nice and smooth. The car nicely balanced it, run wide nicely. 10th quicker on that section already. Look at this. Matthew Boy running a bit wide there, so correcting the car there, but using a lot of the track and a bit more. 2 tenths up on his best delta time. Here we go. And Matthew Boy is found some good pace now. He's looking to carry on this momentum throughout the remaining part of the lap. 3 tenths now up in his best delta time. 3 tenths up. That's what he can do. Keep the momentum. Ran a bit wide there, Mr. Apex, and he's paying for it. Look at that. Look at the delta dropping right down. So killing the momentum, unfortunately. Oh, again missing the apex. Although he gains time that way, so perhaps made an error on the last lap there as well. Gains time again. Oh, this looks like a setup change for Matthew Boy. Perhaps he's done something to the gear ratios, but he seems to be gaining time down the straights. So that's a bit of a good setup work there by Matthew Boy and simGT Racing. So 2 tenths up now. This car could go fast. It's probably half a second faster if he can hook up a lap. Certainly improved it. You can see that delta time slightly improved there by 1/10. It's not going to be enough to beat Edrin Govender for the moment, though. Shout out to Brent Lindsay Ray in the YouTube live chat. Good evening. And, 2 tenths up now for Matthew Boy. Can he keep it? He had to get out of the throttle. Unfortunately, that's cost him. Bit of understeer. Looking for a good exit now to the back straight. Does he get it? Yes, he does. So, will this be good enough for it? Top 5. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. No, a 2:06.065. 2 100ths of a second off the time that he needs to get for the moment. Oh, it's pushing a bit too hard. But definitely that car could go a whole lot quicker if Matthew could just hook up a lap. He could go, as I say, a good half a second to maybe even a second faster if he could just get a lap right. So I reckon a 2:05 flat is possible with this car at the moment, with Matthew driving. He's doing another outlap at the moment. Matthew just getting the tyres ready, prepared, getting them down or up to the correct temperature, perhaps working the brakes well, just getting ready for that next flying lap, perhaps trying to get the fuel level a bit lower too. Less weight means more lap time. Stephen Sparks with a 207.215, Gregor with a 207.259, so, and Mark McGee with a 210.153. Mark McGee can go a whole lot faster than that. Let's see what he can do during this remaining 43 minutes. This final session. Matthew just needs to find 3/100ths of a second to beat Cavender's time. Let's see what he can do. Cavender's in the pits for the moment. Perhaps he's watching what Matthew Boy does. I wonder if Matthew's revving the car too hard. Sometimes with a turbo car, you don't need to rev it as hard as a normally aspirated car. Perhaps driving it too much like a 458. Perhaps he needs to change gears at a bit lower RPM. Braking we go. He's matched his lap time so far. This is where he made the error. See, look at the delta time diving now 2/10ths quicker. So he's rectified that error that he made last session. And there again, look, almost half a second faster as I predicted. I'll claim that. Matthew Boy much quicker now. And that's a bit of time through there, unfortunately. Let's see what he can do here. I think he also missed this apex too. And I think we have Mr. Carl Swanepoel joining the server. Good evening, sir.
I'm in. Good evening. How are you?
Good, and you?
Well, thank you.
Fantastic. We're watching an exciting run here by Matthew Boy. He's about to go half a second quicker on his best lap time. And unseat Adrian Govender for the top 5 LCQ lap time. So that's exciting. And he's just about 6/10ths quicker now. Let's see if he can finish the job. So half a second faster, quicker through that section as well. And through the last corner we go. What can he do? Looking for a good drive onto the back straight. He's lost a bit of time. Oh, a bit of a twitch. Oh, reactions of a cat there, but he catches it and off he goes. We're still 4/10ths up, almost half a second. And this will give Matthew Boy a 2:05.615. And that puts him 5th quickest overall. And at the moment he's got a simGT qualifying spot, so that's great stuff for Matthew. So how are you doing, Carl?
I'm good. Cool. Ran a little bit of practice this evening.
Okay.
Sort of just plodding along around the track until Bash joined, and then you step up your game.
Was it a bit of a reality check?
It was. And the thing is, he hadn't even put in a flying lap yet, so it was just sort of a wake up and smell the roses kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a killer in the sim racing world, and I've had it too, where you sort of unpracticed and you think you've nailed the lap and you've gone up by 2 seconds or so, and then someone comes onto the server and says, yeah, it probably was the track conditions, because suddenly they're much faster too. So yeah, it can be demoralizing, but yeah, you just keep going. What can you do?
It is. And I mean, in Assetto Corsa, you've got the little micro sectors, and he was, I think Bash was behind me on the track, and I was on a good lap, and it was a couple of greens, a couple of purples, and you just see Bash is knocking in purple after purple. So he's finding time where we aren't at the moment.
Are you able to tell us what lap times Bashir was doing?
I can't confirm anything yet.
Okay. Not a problem.
Yeah, I think we'll
leave it at that. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about balance performance earlier and the different cards. Vandergrift in the YouTube live chat was just asking, you know, how it's done and all the rest of it. And well, we can sort of see by the lap times this evening that they're very close indeed, around not a very short circuit. So yeah, the BOP is sort of, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to ideal.
Okay, now we've suddenly had Herrick Crawford join the server now. So he's in the RPM Sim Racing team RDR8. He's in a 205.122. And let's just see what that's... Okay, so that has put... That's knocked off... let me just work this out. This is very complicated now.
I think that's moved Matthew out of the top 5.
Yeah, so Matthew and yeah, so Adrian Govender was out first, and now Matthew Boy was in. Now he's out because Kerry Crawford has now done 205.122, and that's the bubble for the moment. And let's just make a note of that so I can keep track of what's going on. 205.122. Okay, so 205.122 is the current time to beat. Matthew Boyle will have to dig down deep and find a little bit extra if he can. So Carl, the big question for this race will be whether to use the soft tyre or the medium tyre. I suppose you don't want to give away too much.
For a flying lap or for the race?
For the race.
Well, I don't think it's much of a secret, but I don't think the soft tyre will last around here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the corners are too long in certain places, but we'll see. I mean, if you look at what Leslie did in the previous race, he ran one set of tyres for the whole race. It was the hard tyre, but
yes,
it's 90 minutes on the same set.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'll be rather a question about the medium and the hard tyre rather than the softs. So as you say, the softs won't last around here. But certainly the medium and the hards. Because we saw an interesting strategy by Leslie Oliphant, I think it was the last round, where he went very long on the hard tyre. I think 12 laps from the end or something like that, and his net gain was 2 positions in the end, which was very impressive.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he changed tyres during the pit stop.
He could be too. Yeah, I think you're right.
I know I ended up running the hard tyres all but 7 laps of the race, and it was quite skatey towards the end.
Okay. Now watching Kerry Crawford. He's time for the he's done a 205.122. That is the time that everybody else will need to beat as well. And, Kerrit rejoined the championship of a bit of an absence, but he was at Road Atlanta in the last round. He did pretty well, I thought, and he's back for his 2nd race this season. Kerrit Ever Quick was a part of the RSA Proteus Sim Sports team. Team made up of the Sim Race South Africa drivers taking on the international competitions. And let's see what Kerrit can do for the remainder of the session. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 204 from Kerrit. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, having raced a little bit with Harriet in the previous race, he's looking good. I think his consistency is there, and his form is, well, as good as I know it can be.
Yes. Okay, Wayne Wortley has done a 2:04.387. That is 2/10 quicker, better than his lap time from last evening. So it's an improvement there for Wayne. Still second overall. No one able to touch Gabriel Rousseau's 2:03.515 for the moment, which is horrifically fast. Yeah, so Wayne needs to find another, what is that, 7/10 of a second, or more, no, it's more like 8/10 of a second, 9/10. So a bit of work there for Wayne to do. But you won't mind that, Gabriel is his new teammate at the moment, so...
I think Wayne's going to learn a lot. You and I had a chat a little bit earlier about his new partnership here, and
okay.
I think it's going to be good for him.
Okay, great. And there's some good news for the iRacing fans that perhaps are watching the stream or watch it later, is that we're going to try and set up a iRacing league at SimRace South Africa for the 2018.1 season. And we're going to do some open races for the remainder of this year. So keep an eye out for any announcements coming through. So yeah, we're going to see if we can start up an iRacing league and see where it takes us. And Wayne Wortley driving that effort together with myself. And yeah, we're going to see what we can do. It'd be great to add another sort of premium simulator to SimRace South Africa. And yeah, let's try and get some new names. And hopefully we'll get some cross-platform going too, where the guys coming over to Assetto Corsa and vice versa. So, Carl, do you like this circuit?
Yeah. It's good. It's definitely not as challenging as some of the circuits that we've raced previously.
Okay.
But it provides some good opportunities to overtake. There's a nice infield section where you can gain a bit of time to line the guard for one of the straights. So I think it provides a good track for a driver. We'll have to see how it pans out on Monday.
Yeah, for me, this circuit has a bit of everything. It has your slow corners, your medium speed corners, and then your fast corners. And it's a nice sort of nice combination. And a nice flow to it as well, I think.
Definitely. What is quite nice about the track is a lot of the corners are quite similar to each other. So if you get the car hooked up quite nicely for, I would say, the majority of the track, you build quite a good confidence.
Absolutely. At the same time, you've got the walls that are quite close to the track and the apexes, so if you get it wrong, you're going to pay for it, make no mistake.
Yeah.
We saw quite a bit of action there towards the sort of there where Gerrit went through now, that final section.
Yes.
Where the guys, especially at the start, and just clipping someone and running into the wall, and there's your damage.
Yep. So, well, that right-hand kink on the back straight, if you want to call that a straight, if you get a little bit too aggressive onto that curve, you can end up in the wall on the left. So you squeeze someone there, it can end in disaster.
Something that what happened last season at the circuit, Gerrit was driving the McLaren 650 SGT3, and of course that car has a much better sort of braking performance and turn in, and much better than the Nissan GTR that Gerrit James is driving. And coming into the final corner, Gerrit was caught out with how early Gerrit was braking, and unfortunately ran into the back of him. So that put both of them into the wall. And there you go. That's where you see the difference between the cars. And when you're driving a sort of a car that's much more agile than say the Nissan GTR, you need to make up for that and understand that you're going to be much faster than that, and then sort of compensate for that, and perhaps not go into the corner as fast, but rather get a better run out of it and then challenge
Yeah.
the Nissan down the main straight. But good luck with that as well.
Yeah, good luck.
So,
But yeah, I find the McLaren's got quite a strange handling and braking setup. You almost feel like you're sitting over the front wheels as opposed to behind them. So it's a bit of an adjustment to drive that car.
We've got a bit of a saying at Simmer South Africa. It suffers from McLarenitis. So basically, that is sort of a death wiggle coming out of the corners that has often caught out the drivers. I still maintain it's the fastest GT3 car, hands down. If you can drive it, and if you can drive it well, you will do very well in this championship. But maybe after my BOP that I did with it, maybe not so much. But certainly, if you are ever finding yourself driving online, I say try and master that, because if you can, you will be the quickest. So
you gave something like a 50% BOP to that car?
50% on the restrictor plate.
Yeah.
I think the next car is like 15% or something like that. So,
I think that's the GTR.
Perhaps I'll bring that down a little bit for next season. I think that's. We don't see any McLarens on the server in the championship, so. That's,
no, it's
we've got one. We've got one. Brandon Landy, of course, is driving that car. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's he doing?
Brandon is a new driver to Simmer South Africa. He's still a rookie and he's still learning. Brandon needs to find a bit of pace, but he'll get there. He's just starting the season, so nothing wrong with that.
Well, kudos to him for taking the McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. The bravest man in the championship.
I see somebody has commented in the chat running softs. Wouldn't be the best idea.
Yeah, that's Brent. So there we go. Yeah, I got confused with last season, because last season you were able to run the softs, if I recall correctly.
Is that before they updated the time model?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So that's what I was confusing with. I should have said the mediums and the hards. That's the big question.
Okay.
Okay, Herrick Crawford has improved to a 204.929. So that puts him fourth quickest after all.
Yeah. And now Wesley Ferrant is on the bubble.
Yes, he is. So that's the time to beat now. Let's write this down. Yeah, Ferrant still got his 204.986, and that is the time to beat now. So moving on to sort of equipment and stuff, Carl, what kind of wheel are you using at the moment?
At the moment, I am running a Driving Force GT.
Okay.
So I'm running a Logitech wheel, and also it's standard pedals. But what I've done with the pedals is far from standard, because standard pedals are rather shocking, and I think anybody that's driven with these pedals or anything of the same sort of quality will know what I'm talking about. For the longest time I drove around accelerating with my one toe and braking with my other toe, and that's hardly a way to be consistent. So I've built a nice pedal box and done a few mods to the springs, and got a squash ball in the brake as well to give a bit more resistance. Definitely made a difference for consistency.
Okay, wow. So did you just sort of fix the ball behind the pedal? Did you do anything special with it, or?
So there's with these pedals there's a bit of a cavity behind the pedal. So if you take the G27, has got a sort of cylindrical what is it, like a cylindrical unit behind the spring inside. this essentially removes where that cylindrical unit will be. So in that space, there is something that you can fit inside. I've had sponge in there before, and that kind of worked, but it doesn't provide that same tension that you really want. So there is a nice little hole that you can squeeze a ball in, and it pops up quite nicely underneath the pedal. So you can get the pedal to go all the way down to the bottom, and then it's quite stiff.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. And you get a nice feel from that. I'm taking it. Or better than what it was. It's
better than what it was.
Okay.
I recently drove with the T3PA pedals, and they are worlds apart from what I'm driving with now.
Okay.
So, even a step up to T3PA would be great.
Okay.
But when you start looking at some really great stuff like your club sport pedals and your custom pedals, then that makes a really nice difference. But it's driver feel, and we've had this discussion before that people have won championships with this setup.
Absolutely.
So it's not about whether you've got the best equipment or not. It's about how comfortable you are with what you have.
Absolutely. As long as the equipment's working correctly, like it's registering your inputs, then there's no real excuse that it's not necessarily going to impede you. As you said, there's major championships won on the Logitech GF-GT. You'll be amazed with a guy will win a championship and say, well, here's my setup, and it's basically DF-GT or Logitech Momo. The first ones that come out bolted to the clamp to the desk, and he's got something against the wall just to keep the pedals away from the wall so you can reach them. So and that's it. It's truly amazing.
I'll post a photo one day about just to show you guys what my setup looks like at the moment.
Very cool.
It's really homemade, but it works really well.
Absolutely. You don't need to spend an absolute fortune on equipment to be competitive. I don't subscribe to that at all.
And Jason, you're still using the G27?
Yes, I've got a Logitech G27 that I've been using for the last 5 years. The quality of it is fantastic. I recently swapped over. I've actually got a Formula wheel on it now, so it sort of looks a bit like a Formula One wheel. A guy in Poland custom made this wheel, and I think he made 12 or so, and I managed to get I think it was the demo version, but it wasn't really used that much. And it was the last one that he had, and he just changed the grips for me. They did have Alcantara grips, but I wanted leather because I've just had bad experience with Alcantara. Just that it looks terrible after say 6 months of use, especially when you don't use gloves. So and I swapped over to leather, and it looks really great. It's got the big LED lights across the top. Basically, it just uses the lights that came with the G27, and it just it sort of channels the lights to sort of bigger lenses, you could say that.
Okay.
And of course the classic G27 that you need to clean the pedals after 6 months, otherwise they'll start sparking randomly because they've got dust in the pedometer. That's across the board Logitech, I think. The dirt gets inside, and obviously that's not good. I mean, for any equipment that you have, it doesn't matter if it's Logitech or any other brand, really.
Yes.
So after a while, I started. After 5 years, I mean that's a long time to sort of use those things every day, and I spend I try and do an hour of practice every day. And it's done 24-hour racing and all the rest of it. So I give them their due. They've been fantastic. But then I came across a good second-hand the Club Sport Fanatec Club Sport V1 pedals.
Yes.
And I picked those up second-hand at a good price. And now I'm running that. And those pedals are just connected to a USB in the back of my PC. I mean, I run the wheel, normally. Yes. Obviously with the pedals not connected to the wheel itself like you would normally do with a G27.
Yep.
And yeah, no, I wouldn't say I'm faster with the Fanatec pedals. You know, obviously the pedals, they also have a load cell for the braking, which is fantastic. It measures pressure and not distance that the pedals push like the Logitechs do. So it's sort of better feeling, and your brain works better with the pressure that you feel rather than the distance you're pushing your foot down.
Sure.
And I wouldn't say I'm faster, but I think I'm more consistent. So yeah,
which is more important.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, it can be more important. So I would say, yeah, perhaps better quality equipment might give you an edge in consistency, but I don't think it's a game changer.
Sure.
Yeah, perhaps it's just a better feel, and you sort of feel quality a bit better. But, yeah.
Awesome. And your seat?
At the moment, I still clamp my G27 to my desk for a race, but at the moment I'm building a rig. I've just designed that, and I've got all the bits and bobs together now, and I bought myself a proper racing seat like you would buy for a car as well.
Yes.
And now I'm putting that together. I've been trying to get it together the last week, but I just haven't had time to finish it off. I've got to do some cutting and stuff, so I had to buy some proper sort of blades and stuff. And yeah, so I got to put that together. And yeah, so I'm still keeping it single screen. I'm not going 3 screens.
Okay, and how big is your screen?
24.
Okay.
And I recently upgraded to 144 hertz monitor, so up from your standard 60 hertz.
Yes.
So I've been told that will give you a better sort of FPS, because normally when you run like a 60 hertz monitor, you can only get true 60 FPS. And obviously with a higher hertz monitor, 80 hertz or 120 hertz or 144 hertz, you can match your FPS with the hertz rating, and it gives you your true FPS. So I haven't tried some racing with the new monitor yet. I don't know if it'll make me quicker, but it certainly looks a lot smoother. And I'm also running R factor 2 above 150 frames per second, so I should get that true 144 FPS. So I don't know if it's going to make my lap time better, but I'm looking forward to trying out. So
well, you'll probably enjoy the experience of it.
Yeah, I think so. So I also picked up the monitor second hand, just looking around, because they can really get expensive, and I'm not willing to pay so much money. So yeah, I picked up one that's 2 years old, and then got upgraded to another one, and I said, right, I'll have that. And yeah, so we'll see how we go.
Good.
And, Bashir, if you want to join in the chat, I see you joined us in the room.
Evening, guys. I was just listening there.
It is Bashir Jadwat, champion at SimRace Africa. It's been a couple of seasons since then, though, Bash.
Ages ago, yeah. I'm slow now.
But still pushing every week. It's great to watch.
Trying my best.
Yeah. So,
intriguing battle on track, yeah, for the times.
I think so. Very tight, eh?
Yeah.
So it's still Harry Crawford on the bubble, I think, with a 204.929. So he's the overall the top 5 fastest driver in the LCQ session so far. And we've got Wesley Ferrand with a 204.940. I think that's what you're talking about,
yeah,
Bash.
it's insanely close there between those two.
Yeah, that's 7 100ths of a second, people. Not even. It's like 6.1. Yeah, hundredths of a second. So that's crazy. And, see the bob coming out there, guys. Yes, that's so bad. Yeah. Stop sending me hate mail. It's not that bad. And, So Bashir, what do you think about this circuit?
It takes a while to get back in the groove, but yeah, it's a lovely circuit. It's very flowing, and it really eats the tires. So tire choice is going to be a real decider for the result, I think.
Okay. And you say it's between the medium and the hards. The softs obviously won't be able to do the distance.
Well, I think you may be surprised with the softs.
Okay.
If you get them, you may be able to get them working.
Well, folks, you heard that first here.
It would take more than one stop, but they are a hell of a lot faster. So,
oh wow!
In the long run, it may be a strategy that some people employ.
Sure.
Depends on the car. I'm sure the BMWs will be able to give that a go because they're very sweet on the tires.
Carl, you better try that, huh? Yeah. Keep going,
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes. Yeah, but there is a significant time difference. I think consistent time difference between the tires.
Yeah, and if you look at the heat, I mean the tires only really overheat in the last sector, and by the time you get to the long straight, they tend to cool down a bit. So I'm sure some guys will be able to make that work. I don't think it will just be mediums and hards. I doubt anyone would use hards because those you're not going to get any heat in them.
Bash, did you see a difference in the tire temperatures between the softs and the hard, the softs and the mediums?
Yes, I did. Quite a big variance between softs and mediums. For example, when I use the mediums on the R8, the right-hand side tends to not heat up at all, regardless of the pressure I put on it. Whereas the softs stay green, but obviously the left-hand side takes the punishment. And, But yeah, to answer the question, I really don't think it's just going to be a medium and hard race. I think there will be a few softs.
So we're saying we might have 3 different tire strategies going on Monday evening?
I would think so. At least two. I doubt the hards would be used there because they don't heat up sufficiently.
Yeah, perhaps it's a strategy that Wayne Wortley might employ in the heavy Anderson GTR. Perhaps that car can get the hards working. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe. And tell me, Bashir, do you play with the tire pressures a lot when you're preparing for a race, or is it sort of a set temperature that you normally use?
To be honest, I suck at tuning tires, but I use.
Thank goodness, otherwise it'd be crazy fast. Yeah.
I use the Pro Tires app, and I just try to get it between, in the range of the green. So there's 2 bars that tells you what you need to aim for between hot and cold, and I just try to aim for the middle.
Okay. Because as far as I understand, the best operating pressure is around 26 psi hot. So as far as I understand, that's what sort of Kuno says. Whether that's true or not, I'm not quite sure.
Tires are a bit of I don't know. I'm not really. Yeah, it's really a dark art because I don't feel a difference. When you run even pressures or when you run specific pressure per tire, I really don't feel like the car is doing anything different. Where some people would swear by, changing each individual tire pressure. I tend to run even pressures left and right. Because I don't really feel a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I think that's just taking what Gabriel said 2 weeks ago. That's kind of counterintuitive to how you would set up an asymmetrical car and you would set up a more symmetrical car. But I tend to agree with you that I also don't really feel much of a difference between if the pressures are slightly different on either side, but the temperatures are the same, versus the pressures being the same and the temperatures different. I don't really feel much of a difference.
Yeah. I would tend to listen to what Gabriel has to say, though.
That's true.
There's an awkward silence there for a little bit too.
Is this Wesley up on his time now?
This is Wesley up on his time. Yeah, he's got enough now. If he can just keep doing that, I think. Wait, let me just see how far away he is. Yeah, he needs 6 100s or so, 7 100s. So he's not quite there at the moment. He's almost. They're always pushing very hard, absolutely sideways. Oh, he's got. He's outbraked himself. Yeah. He's lost it. He's gonna try again though. So Bashir, you drove this car last season. How does it differ to the Audi? Is it completely different, or?
It feels totally different. a lot. Worse in brakes, I would say, but better in overall stability compared to the Audi.
Okay, wow. Oh, that's interesting you say that. I would have expected the Audi to be far more stable.
No, the Audi is very twitchy. Like you say, it has the McLarenitis.
Oh, wow, okay. That's interesting.
Whereas this was very stable last year, and we were able, I think Max and I were able to do very consistent quick laps with this.
Okay.
And yeah, as of now, I still I can't match my time that I've done with that car, with the Audi as it.
Wow, even with the ballast that you're running last season?
Even with the ballast, but I had very little ballast. I think it was 40 kgs or something. But yeah, now for last year's time was a 203.3, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And yeah, I'm still way a bit off that with the Audi.
Okay. So Bash, would you say that the Lambo is quicker than the Audi for you?
Yeah, depending on driving style. Okay. Like Marcus finds the Audi quicker, whereas I felt the Lambo was a bit more stable and suited my driving style a bit more.
Okay, that's interesting. Of course, we've got the difference with the restrictor plate now, so we're not quite sure how that comes into the
correct. Yeah,
it might be the difference, or it might be the same as what you're running 40 kilograms or so. So you know, so difficult to determine. Okay.
Mind you, the balance of performance on the Audi is only 1%.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That's true. Yes.
So it should be a fair fight then between the two cars.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the balance on the Lambo at the moment?
I think it's 15%. Let's just double check that quickly. Just checking the forum. What did I do here? Lamborghini is 15%, yeah. So it's the car with the second most restrictor after the McLaren, of course. The Mercedes-Benz with no restrictor is not taking part in the season. So,
yeah.
You ran that too, eh, Bash?
I ran that too last season, yes, but I just couldn't get the hang of that car.
Jason, you also raced that car last season, didn't you?
Yeah, I love the Merc GT3. Not last season, but I think 3 seasons ago, something like that. Okay. I ran the Merc. It was the Merc has a problem with its tires. It's it's almost like it's not a GT3 car trying to be a GT3 car. It's I battled the overheating with the tires.
Yes.
And at some circuits I battled with trying to heat them up. Yeah, I love driving the car and I think it's great, but I just can't really compete with the other cars at the moment. And I'm actually thinking about maybe trying to balance the cars further towards the Merc for next season and see if it can try and get up there again. I'm not sure, or if it's a lost cause. I'm not sure.
The Merc was pretty quick on single lap.
Okay.
Just that over race distance, you had to sort of drive it at 11/10 throughout the race, which for a long race is not really sustainable, which is why we had a hell of a lot of mistakes. But over a single lap, in qualifying scenario, it can compete with the others. I think we had a few good mid-pack qualifying, but for the race, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
At that point, it wasn't sustainable compared to the Nissan at that point, which was dominating.
Yeah. Because I can agree with that, because when I was racing it, I found I was like on the pace for the first 3 or 4 laps, everything's going great, sort of catching the guy in the front, everything, and then the car would just fall away completely, and I'm like, what is going on? And then suddenly the tires overheat and you make mistakes, you're off the circuit.
Exactly.
It's
you kind of have to push all the time to get a decent result. But it is a very nice looking car.
Absolutely.
It's pretty. The performance doesn't match the looks.
Yeah. And it also sounds great.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
It's a magic car.
Yeah, it's very nice.
No, we'll see if we can pull the other cars towards the neck for next season. Let's see what we can do.
But the SLS, Jason, I see that is not does that not fall under the GT3 class, or because I see a lot of guys that won't run the SLS but they'll run the AMG GT3. So
yeah, so the SLS GT3, which is sort of the older version, and the AMG GT3 was a replacement.
Okay.
That's all.
I find that car easier to drive.
The SLS.
Yes.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
There's also a bit of a tank though.
Yeah. It's a monster down the straights though. The Merc, the new Merc, the GT3, is a monster down the straights. I used to hang with Gert down the back straight, or at Barcelona down the main straight with the Merc.
Yes.
And almost like pulling out wanting to pass the Nissan. So it's pretty quick down the straights. It's just through those corners, the fast corners, the tires just let go.
Yeah.
So, let's see what we can do. Oh. Okay, we've just got over 3 minutes remaining of the session. It is still it is Wesley Ferrante with a 2:04.940, so it's improved slightly from a 986 to a 940. And still in the bubble, who is 5th is Matthew Boy. I think it is in 6th overall with a 2:05.615, so 6 tenths to find in 3 minutes. That's a tall order. But you never know. Let's watch Matthew Boy. We're going to go on board with him now. And slightly up in his delta, but he's losing time, unfortunately.
This last corner is a very tricky corner.
But Bash, I think you pointed out a while back that you thought that Matthew was over-revving the turbo Ferrari, and perhaps he needs to short shift a bit.
Is he still doing that?
He's still doing it. I think he's doing anyway. Sort of the red lights and the LED are already on there for a long time. So.
It's the same with the BM, the M235, where you have to sort of short shift it to get the best out of the gearing. Because even that, it's sort of 6,500 RPM, I think, that you have to change, whereas the red line is past 7,000. It's turbo problems.
I think it's just when the boost falls off. You need to change gears before that happens. Oh, big twitch there for Matthew. He does collect it though, but he's lost a good 4 tenths or so in the process. It's not going to be this lap. Oh, another moment. Oh, he opts out of it. He's going to have another go there. He's got a minute 40 remaining. Or he's going to abandon it. He's going to let Wayne Wortley past. Wayne has improved to a 2:04.387, so that's 2 tenths better than his best lap time so far. Still second overall. And Matthew Boy will just calm himself down and ready himself for another flying lap. Through the final corner we go, down the main straight to start his next flying lap. A minute 10 remaining. Oh, he comes into the pits, okay. We won't get around again before another flying lap, so I think that's it for Matthew Boy. And he will no longer challenge, unfortunately. Yeah, and I think that is it. Let me just see if anyone's improving. Steven is still down with a 207 flat. And Leandre Sparks in LCQ 2 is on a 206.149. That doesn't put him anywhere near the top 5. No. Okay. So I think we have our top 5. So our top 5 going through to Monday evening's grid slot to join the other 15 who have already qualified are Gabriel Rousseau, Wayne Wortley, Bongi Mabida, Gerrit Crawford and Wesley Ferrante. Congratulations to those 5 drivers, well deserved. And yeah, they'll be racing in the top split in the South African simGT series this Monday evening from 8 PM. And you can all catch that live here, right here on YouTube. I will be in commentary. Perhaps somebody will be joining me. we'll see what happens.
It won't be us.
No, it won't be us. You guys, we'll be watching you guys. And a big thank you to both of you, Kyle and Bashir, for joining me this evening. It's been a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Cool. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Great. Okay, well, that concludes this evening's session, the final LCQ session. And until Monday evening, all the best until then. Goodbye.